If you are completing a full edit of your translation notes, there are 5 things you need to ask yourself. 1. Is the meaning of the note the same as the English T note? 2. Does the note make sense in the gateway language? 3. Should a note be deleted? 4. Should a note be added? And 5. Is the note clear and natural? Let's consider the first question. Is the meaning of the note the same as the English translation note? If the meaning is not the same, you should consider whether it accurately explains the gateway literal text. If it does not contain an accurate explanation, then correct the gateway translation note so that it does. If you feel the note accurately explains the gateway literal text, but is different due to differences between English and your language, you may choose to do one of 2 things. First, if you feel it is a good note and should remain as it is, document your reasons so others will understand why you kept the difference and will not try to fix it. Second, if you are unsure whether the difference between the translation note and the gateway translation note, or the gateway literal text, may need to be changed, document your concern. As you meet with your translation committee regularly, make sure you review your list and work with them to reach a consensus about how to resolve these differences. You'll also need to make sure you go back and make changes based on their recommendations. As you do this, another problem may arise. If you feel the gateway literal text is incorrect and the text should be rendered as it appears in the gateway translation notes, document your concern and pass it on to the translation team for consideration. Once the team has made a decision, follow their recommendation and either amend the note or leave it as it is. The second question you should ask is, does the note make sense in the gateway language? Check that the gateway translation notes make sense with the gateway literal text. The gateway language translator may have made a good translation of the English translation note, but when the note is read with the gateway literal text, it might not explain the text in the right way, or it might not make sense with the literal text. In that case, you will need to discuss the problem with the translation team. Once they decide on the best way to explain the text, you will need to change the note so that it explains the literal text in a way that will be helpful to the OL translator. Remember, if it doesn't make sense in the gateway language, it probably won't make sense to the OL translators. The translation notes should be accurate to the literal text as well as clear and natural. The third question is, should a note be deleted? The original T-Notes translator may decide that a note does not apply to the gateway literal text and delete the note. You should check to make sure that the note is not needed. If you feel it is necessary or useful, you may add it back in. As always, check with the translation team before you do so. There may be new notes that have been added to the English T-Notes. In that case, you will need to study the gateway literal text to see if the new notes would be helpful. If they are, then add them to the existing T-Notes. In Jonah chapter 4, verse 11, you will see there is a T-Note for the phrase, and also many cattle. Clicking on this note reveals the author is pointing out the depth of Nineveh's repentance to the extent that Yahweh takes note of the beast's participation in the act of repentance. This is a theological note, and it has no bearing on how the verse is translated. As a result, it may be a note that is not needed. Question 4. Should a new note be added? If the Gateway Language Translator has written a new note, make sure that it is needed and that it makes sense with the Gateway literal text. If a note is needed, but the translator did not add one, you may recommend that one be added. Document your list of notes to add, and when you complete a book, give the list to the translation team. They will review your recommendations and decide which ones should be added. In Titus 1:6, it says an elder must be without blame. According to the T note, to be without blame is to be known as a person who does not do bad things. An alternate translation could be an elder must not have a bad reputation and must be the husband of one wife. This could also be stated positively as a person who has a good reputation. The reason for this may be that the earlier editors missed the double negative in this passage. Question 5 asks, are the notes clear and natural? In order to check the translation notes for naturalness and clarity, have locals read them together with the Gateway literal text and unlocked simplified text. While they do this, ask them to mark anything that is not clear to them or that they would say in a different way. Review the feedback and pass these recommendations to the translation team so that they can clarify those notes and render them in a more natural form. You may need to wait until the Unlocked Simplified Text, UST, is complete before doing this, or you may want to do it with the Unfolding Word literal text and then repeat with the UST once it is completed. If your translation is following the book package flow, then you can check the translation notes for clarity and naturalness for the book at this step. Let's review the 5 questions you should ask yourself as you complete a full edit of the translation notes. See if you can remember the 5 questions. Click each number to see if you are right. Is the meaning of the note the same as the English translation note? Does the note make sense in the Gateway language? Should a note be deleted? Should a note be added? Is the note clear and natural?